Ethan never imagined that one decision, one moment of love, would cost him everything he had ever known. The night, he told his family, the house felt colder than ever before. "I'm pregnant." The words had barely left his lips when silence swallowed the room whole. His mother's hands trembled, but not with concern, only with disbelief. His father didn't even look at him. He just stood up, walked to the door, and opened it. "You should leave," his father said quietly, as if Ethan were already a stranger. Ethan blinked, his heart pounding. "Dad, I didn't do anything wrong." "You brought shame into this house," his father replied, still not meeting his eyes. His younger sister, who once clung to him during thunderstorms, looked away like she didn't recognize him anymore. That was the moment Ethan realized. He had already lost them. He packed a small bag that night. No one stopped him. No one asked where he would go. By midnight, he was standing outside, alone, with nowhere to go and a life growing inside him. The first few days were a blur of hunger, exhaustion, and fear. He tried calling the one person he thought would stand by him, Noah, the one who had promised forever. But Noah never answered. After dozens of missed calls, one message finally came. "I can't do this. I'm sorry." That was it. No explanation. No responsibility. Just abandonment. Ethan stared at the message for a long time, his vision blurring with tears. He wasn't just alone anymore. He was broken. Days turned into weeks. He found himself sleeping on a bench near a quiet street, wrapping his thin jacket tighter around his growing body. People passed by, some staring, some whispering, but no one stopped. He stopped expecting them to. One evening, as the sky turned orange, Ethan felt a sharp pain in his stomach. He winced, gripping the edge of the bench. "Hey, are you okay?" The voice startled him. Ethan looked up to see a young man standing in front of him, holding a bag of groceries. He had soft eyes, the kind that didn't judge. "I'm fine," Ethan muttered, trying to stand, but his legs gave out. Before he could fall, the stranger caught him. "You're not fine," the man said firmly. "You're shaking." Ethan tried to pull away. "I don't need help." But the man didn't let go. "Maybe," he said gently, "but you deserve it." There was something in his voice, something real. Ethan didn't have the strength to argue anymore. "My name's Lucas," the man added. "What's yours?" "Ethan." Lucas nodded, like the name mattered, like Ethan mattered. "Come with me," Lucas said. "You can't stay out here." Ethan hesitated. He had trusted someone before. It had destroyed him. But as another wave of pain hit, he realized he didn't have a choice. Lucas's apartment was small, but warm. The moment Ethan stepped inside, he felt something he hadn't felt in weeks, safe. Lucas didn't ask questions right away. He gave Ethan food, water, and a place to sit. "Eat first," he said. "Then we'll talk." Ethan devoured the food like he hadn't eaten in days, because he hadn't. Lucas watched quietly, his expression unreadable. When Ethan finally slowed down, he lowered his gaze. "Why are you helping me?" Lucas leaned back slightly. "Because someone should have." That answer hit harder than anything else. For the first time since everything fell apart, Ethan felt his chest tighten, not with pain, but with emotion. "I don't have anything to give you," Ethan whispered. Lucas shook his head. "I'm not asking for anything." Silence filled the room. Then, slowly, Ethan spoke. He told Lucas everything. About his family. About Noah. About being thrown out like he didn't belong anywhere. Lucas didn't interrupt. He just listened. And when Ethan finished, Lucas said something no one else had said. "You didn't do anything wrong." Ethan's breath caught. "I love someone," Ethan said, his voice trembling. "That's all I did." "And that's not a crime," Lucas replied softly. That night, Lucas let Ethan stay. One night turned into a week. A week turned into a month. Ethan started helping around the apartment. Cleaning. Cooking whatever little he could. Lucas never asked him to, but Ethan needed to feel like he wasn't just a burden. Lucas worked long hours, but he always came back with something small. Fresh fruits, warm food, sometimes even a simple dessert. "You need to eat well," he would say casually, like it was nothing. But to Ethan, it was everything. Slowly, Ethan began to notice things about Lucas. He was quiet, but not cold. strong but gentle. He never looked at Ethan with pity, only respect. One night, as rain tapped softly against the windows, Ethan sat on the couch, lost in thought. "Are you scared?" Lucas asked from the kitchen. Ethan hesitated. "Yes." Lucas walked over, sitting across from him. "Of what?" "Everything," Ethan admitted. "What if I can't do this? What if I'm not strong enough?" Lucas was silent for a moment. Then he said, "You've already survived more than most people ever could." Ethan looked at him. "You were thrown out by your family, abandoned by the person you loved, left alone with nothing, and you're still here," Lucas continued. "If that's not strength, I don't know what is." Ethan felt tears welling up again, not from pain this time, but from being understood. Days passed, and something began to change. The loneliness that once consumed Ethan slowly faded. In its place, something warmer began to grow. One evening, as they sat together eating dinner, Ethan noticed Lucas watching him. "What?" Ethan asked, slightly embarrassed. Lucas shook his head. "Nothing." But there was something in his eyes, something deeper, and for the first time in a long while, Ethan didn't feel invisible. Weeks later, Ethan had a checkup appointment. He was nervous, terrified even. "I'll come with you," Lucas said without hesitation. "You don't have to," Ethan replied. "I know," Lucas said. "I want to." At the clinic, as Ethan lay on the bed, his hands trembling, Lucas stood beside him. "Hey," Lucas whispered, gently placing his hand over Ethan's. "You're not alone." Those words stayed with him. When the doctor confirmed that everything was okay, Ethan felt a weight lift off his chest. As they walked back home, Ethan suddenly stopped. Lucas turned. "What happened?" Ethan looked at him, his eyes shining. "Thank you," he said softly. Lucas frowned slightly. "For what?" "For not leaving." Lucas didn't reply right away. Then he said almost quietly, "I'm not going anywhere." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Lucas's words. "I'm not going anywhere." Something about it felt different, real, and deep inside, Ethan felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel since everything broke apart. Hope. But what Ethan didn't know was that Lucas was hiding something from his past, something that could change everything between them. And as the bond between them grew stronger, the truth was getting closer to the moment when everything would be tested again. The night felt unusually quiet. Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling while the soft rhythm of rain echoed through the room. Beside him, on the small table, was a glass of water Lucas had left before going to sleep. "I'm not going anywhere." Those words kept replaying in his mind. For someone who had been abandoned so easily, hearing that felt almost unreal. But deep inside, a small fear still lingered. What if he leaves too? Ethan turned to his side, gently placing his hand over his stomach. He had started doing that often, talking silently to the life growing inside him, as if trying to reassure both of them. "I'll protect you," he whispered, even if he didn't know how yet. Over the next few weeks, things started to feel normal. Not perfect, not easy, but stable. Lucas remained the same, quiet, caring, and constant. He never crossed boundaries, never made Ethan uncomfortable. He respected his space, his pain, and his past. And that was exactly what made Ethan slowly fall for him. It wasn't sudden. It wasn't dramatic. It was real. In the way Lucas remembered what Ethan liked to eat. In the way he would adjust the pillow behind his back without saying a word. In the way he stayed up late when Ethan had trouble sleeping. One evening, while folding clothes, Ethan finally said what had been building inside him for days. "Lucas." Lucas looked up from the kitchen. "Yeah." Ethan hesitated. His heart started racing. "Why are you really helping me?" Lucas froze for a second. It was subtle, but Ethan noticed. "You already asked me that," Lucas replied, trying to sound casual. "I know," Ethan said softly, but that wasn't the full answer. Silence filled the room. Lucas slowly put down what he was holding and walked toward him. For the first time, his expression looked different. Not calm, not steady, but conflicted. "There's something I didn't tell you," Lucas admitted. Ethan's chest tightened. "I figured," he said quietly. Everyone has something they don't say. Lucas nodded, his gaze lowering. A few years ago, I had someone, he began. His name was Daniel. Ethan stayed silent, listening. Lucas continued, his voice slower now. He was everything to me. We were together for a long time. And one day, he told me he was pregnant. Ethan's breath caught. But I was scared. Lucas said, his voice breaking slightly. I thought my life would fall apart. I wasn't ready, and instead of staying, I left. The words hit Ethan like a shockwave. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. I told myself it was the right thing, Lucas went on, that I couldn't handle it, that it wasn't my responsibility. Ethan stood up slowly, his eyes filled with something painful. And what happened to him? He asked. Lucas closed his eyes. I don't know. That answer shattered something inside Ethan. You don't know? His voice trembled. You just left him? Lucas didn't argue. I tried finding him later, he said, but it was too late. He had already disappeared. Ethan stepped back. So when you saw me, he whispered, you were just trying to fix your guilt? Lucas looked up immediately. No. Then what is it? Ethan snapped, tears forming in his eyes. Because it feels like I was just a replacement for your past. That's not true. Lucas said firmly. Then tell me the truth. Ethan shouted, his voice breaking. Because I trusted you. Silence. Heavy. Painful. Lucas stepped closer, but Ethan moved back. I didn't help you because of guilt, Lucas said, his voice steady but emotional. I helped you because I saw someone about to go through the same pain, and I couldn't let it happen again. Ethan shook his head. But you still left someone when it mattered most. I know, Lucas whispered, and I hate myself for it every single day. The room felt suffocating. Ethan turned away, wiping his tears. I can't do this, he said softly. Lucas's heart dropped. Ethan, I thought maybe this time would be different, Ethan continued. But now I don't even know what's real anymore. It is different, Lucas said. I'm still here, aren't I? Ethan didn't reply. That night, neither of them slept. The next morning, Ethan was gone. The apartment felt emptier than it ever had. On the table, there was a small note. I need time. Please don't look for me. Lucas stood there for a long time, the note trembling in his hands. He understood, but it didn't hurt any less. Days passed. Ethan found himself walking alone again, but this time it felt different. He wasn't the same broken person anymore. He had learned how to survive. But the pain of losing Lucas, it was heavier than anything before, because this time he had something real, and he lost it. One evening, as Ethan sat outside a small clinic after a routine checkup, he suddenly felt dizzy, his vision blurred, his breathing became uneven, and before he could react, everything went dark. When he opened his eyes again, he was in a hospital bed. Panic immediately took over. My baby, he gasped. It's okay, a familiar voice said. Ethan froze. Slowly, he turned his head. Lucas was sitting beside him. His eyes were tired, his face pale, but he was there. How? Ethan struggled to speak. I found you, Lucas said quietly. You collapsed outside the clinic. Someone called me. Your number was the last one you dialed. Ethan didn't remember that, but hearing it made his chest tighten. Is the baby okay? He asked again. Lucas nodded. Yes, the doctor said you just need rest. Relief washed over Ethan. Silence followed, this time softer. Ethan looked at Lucas. You still came, he whispered. Lucas gave a small, sad smile. I told you, I'm not going anywhere. Tears filled Ethan's eyes again. But what if one day you do, he asked. Lucas leaned forward slightly. Then I'll spend every day proving that I won't, he said. Ethan stared at him, searching, hoping. Why? He asked. Lucas didn't hesitate this time. Because I love you. The words hung in the air. Real, simple, true. Ethan's breath caught. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, Lucas continued. And I don't deserve it either. But I'm here now not because of my past, but because of you. Ethan's heart pounded. For the first time, Lucas wasn't hiding anything. He was just honest. And maybe that's what made the difference. Slowly, Ethan reached out. His hand trembled as it touched Lucas's. I'm scared, he admitted. I know, Lucas replied softly, but I don't want to run anymore. Lucas held his hand gently. Then don't, he said. Stay. And this time, Ethan did. Months later, everything changed. The small apartment was filled with nervous energy. Ethan gripped Lucas's hand tightly, his breathing uneven. It's okay, Lucas whispered. I'm right here. Hours passed. Pain, fear, strength, and then a cry filled the room. The most beautiful sound Ethan had ever heard. Tears streamed down his face as he held the baby for the first time. We did it, he whispered. Lucas stood beside him, his eyes shining. No, he said softly. You did. Ethan looked up at him, and in that moment, everything felt complete. Life wasn't perfect after that. There were struggles, judgments, difficult days, but they faced it all together. Lucas never left, not when things got hard, not when Ethan doubted himself, not even when the world tried to push them down again. Because this time, love didn't run away. It stayed. And sometimes that's all a person needs. Someone who stays. Years later, as Ethan watched their child laugh in the sunlight, he leaned gently against Lucas. You know, he said softly, losing everything was the worst thing that ever happened to me. Lucas looked at him. But it led me to you, Ethan continued, smiling. Lucas took his hand. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure it was worth it. Ethan smiled, his eyes filled with peace. For the first time in his life, he wasn't afraid anymore, because he finally had a home, not a place. This